Okay, folks, we have a lot to go over as today was absolutely crazy. So first and foremost, subscribe to the channel, click all notifications because what we go over here is very timely. I took a lot of flack for showing this one in Saturday's top 10, and I'd go back and re-watch it. We talked about these levels pretty clearly, and obviously no one expected it in a day. We are seeing some froth, and we're going to get into that. So stay to the end because I do want to go through the indexes and what's going on out there. But you're definitely seeing some froth. You're seeing a lot of the short squeeze names move. This obviously exploded up off that 1335. It's worth covering these levels. So if you just want to look at these levels over here on the right-hand side and just mark those levels off, and you can kind of use those as a guide tomorrow if you're interested in trading this. And I'll just get rid of the pre and post. But you can see my levels are fairly good. So you're welcome to use those. I don't know if we're getting back up here or not. You had a bunch of halts today when that rumor hit where we didn't know what was going on in the Ukraine. You saw the market come in. A lot of people are saying that's because of the spy wall and where we were with options. It could have been perfectly timed to release something like that. That was very, not very specific at the same exact time that you were at a technical trigger. Wouldn't be the first time something like that has happened and you sold back down. We're going to talk about the indexes again at the end, but you just watch these levels right here: 1860, 2076, 2450, 2878. Use those levels. I mean, they've been working since 1335, flipping the 1509. 1860 clearly is acting as support. So these levels do work, and they have been working. Now, I just think it makes sense for a moment to just kind of talk about what's going on out there. You're seeing a lot of these names just rip, okay? And by these names, I mean like the meme names. And it is somewhat concerning because this is what happens in, quote, bear markets. And yes, I am the person that's been saying, I don't care if you call it a bear market or a raspberry. But what I do care about is froth. And when you start seeing stuff like this, that's pretty frothy. I mean, it's great if you're in it and you're trading it for the day or two, but that's really a very frothy spot to be in. And I think that that's something to consider. So you have names like this moving. It literally became today, what's the next meme name that's going to move? You saw AMC spike up, right, and then pull back. We saw GME do the same exact thing, right? Spike up only to pull back. And we saw this pattern over and over again. So, I mean, even to the point of like these smaller ones like BIGG, all of a sudden this thing's trading, almost 100 million shares today. Hold on, let me get 80 million shares today. And, it's trading like an option. So you just need to be cognizant when you see things like this. When you're starting to see these kinds of names run, it doesn't mean you're going back to the lows, but there is a middle ground between going back to the lows of the indexes and just going sideways for a little bit, working off an overbought condition and then moving forward, right? There is a difference there. So something to keep in mind. I do want to discuss this with Walmart. So we are over the 200-day for the first time since you broke it and closed over it. Okay, this is exactly the kind of thing you're looking for. Right? So this is where you gapped down, you gapped over. They had great numbers. They were excellent. Sold down, mostly we sold down today on just the news that came out. So for me, that news actually just affected the stock a little bit. If you're concerned about it, you can obviously just use that low as a stop. I like the quarter. I think if you're looking out for a longer period of time on this, you're going to be quite happy with it. Now, you do have some news coming out soon. Target, as you're aware, dividend, but then tomorrow you have earnings. So can Target play around with Walmart? It can, but a little bit because Walmart's earnings are out and Walmart confirmed everything. So it's really hard to think that this is going to affect the retail space. It might a little bit, but it's not going to affect them all. So I would keep that, I'd keep that in mind. Now for me, I thought this was interesting. This is one that we've been in since 137. If you're not following along in the free newsletter, there's a link in the description. So once you got to that 200-day, you flipped it. You got over this 146, and then you pulled back. Am I concerned about it? Not really. You have a doji here. I want to watch how it acts. But I really like the quarter. I've seen nothing but buying since we've been going up. We just have to watch it and see how we act here. But overall, I think we're acting very well. And I think this will continue to act well. We just, again, we had a lot of froth in the market today. So when people wanted to take profits, they took profits in the things that they could, right? And they got out of the other stuff pretty quickly. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's what I really see going on out there. I don't see a heck of a lot really to be overly concerned with, but there are signs of froth. I would be looking for ideas like this, just to give you an idea on what to focus on. So ideas like Snap that are getting into these gaps, we're seeing these gap fills all over the place, and they're really just super technical bounces. As I said in the trading room today, that's what you're seeing. You're just seeing super technical bounces. So, this one was down 10%, then up 10% today, Carvana. Nothing's changed about the company, but they are just squeezing the living heck out of people. So it is what it is. You just stay out of the way while it's going on. Eventually, the fundamentals will usually catch up with the company. Same with coin. You came all the way down to 83, flushed everybody out, right? And then closed back at 90. So every time that these shorts look like they're going to break, they're not breaking. And we're seeing a lot of that. So where I would really focus is taking a look at the indexes and how those indexes are reacting. So let me give you an example what I mean by that. So here we are on the Qs, okay? And this is a really simple, very simple bar, right? So we took out the higher high, and now we're just sitting right on that level. So this is pretty clear which way you're setting up. So if you have a long-legged doji, which is exactly what you have right here, right? The body's in the middle, and then you have the long leg this way and this way. And we know that that means rejection, right? So if we know that, then we know that this now becomes a decisive bar. So if you take this out to the low, it's very rare that you're going to see this take out the low and then reverse that day. It would have to engulf it, and that would be a very powerful pattern. It could happen, but it would be very powerful. More likely, and I want to stay focused on this because it's important, more likely you're going to go sideways maybe here, maybe down a little bit lower. You're going to bounce around in here, right? And so you're going to have to watch this very closely because that happened right on our level, and that's really important to me. Now, if you flip over, you can push. It can push again. And I think when people digest, like when people start understanding what the news was and why we dropped, which I equate more to an article that just happened to come out at the wrong time, then panic selling, to me, it just looked like algorithmic trading on that sell. And you can kind of see that today. Now, if you look at the SPY on the 15-minute, it was just straight down. And then after you flushed everybody out, you have Wick City, right? Wicks are price rejection. So that's not something to me that I have to worry about. I just think that you're in a very super technical market, and that's putting us in a position where you need to look at things like this, right? 429.62, and you just kind of want to see how this trades around. But for me, I think that's really important. Those levels are ones to watch, and I really want to focus on your crosshairs. Right, you're right in here. Okay, and you really need to focus on these levels. And I'm spending a lot of time on these levels because it's important. You didn't flip today. You stopped. And right, just FYI, you stopped right at the 200 too. So it's not like you're not stopping at something that's pertinent. And on top of that, we've had a lot of froth in the market with the meme names we just went over, right? So we have froth in the market. We have the meme names. So you can pull back and then make another attempt to go through it. Just because you roll back down does not mean we're going back down to here, okay? And I think that people need to start understanding that. This whole thing was one big inflation trade, right? This is when he started talking about inflation might not be transitory. Powell started talking right here about rate hikes. Okay, this is when we said inflation may have peaked. This is one big trade. Doesn't mean you're coming all the way back down. Okay, it just means for now that we might pull back a little bit, and that would be okay. But just watch these key levels that we just went through. If you look at the IWM, again, you're right at that 200-day. You're right at the peak of the anchored VWAP. There are definitely levels that you need to focus on. So if I would continue to focus on those, I just find the action in the VIX really kind of mind-boggling. We sell down, it hardly moves. We rally, it goes up. There's a lot going on here. So, I would really tend to focus on this. And if you're uncomfortable with what's going on out there, My advice is to stick with the ETFs until this settles down and you get a better decision. Everybody thinks this looks easy, but this is not. It's not easy at all. It's a very difficult market. I mean, you're watching this happen. You're watching this fall down very fast in the middle of the day, and you're not even seeing a spike in the VIX. So it makes you wonder how that's happening. So we've had success in the trading room and in the newsletter. Again, there's a free version below in trading names like this. So in at a certain price, and then you just keep moving the stop up. And when you get stopped out, you get stopped out. Meanwhile, this could just simply grind higher and you're not dealing with the noise. This is TQQ 3X ETF. Something to think about, why we try to sort this out. But again, retail's tomorrow, so see how that goes. You really want to focus on, next is going to be Lowe's as well. So you're going to want to pay attention to that. Lowe's ran up today. So, and earnings are tomorrow on the 17th. So just FYI, keep that in mind. Everybody have a great evening. If you're interested in the trading room, there is a preview link right here in the top right corner. Have a good night, everyone. Trade to win tomorrow.